they still standing. Then he goes on Joe Rogan and he's like, listen, do you think if I had it, I would share it with you? I do. Yeah, I do. I do believe that 100%. You know, it wasn't just him on the podcast saying. Now they're saying nothing happened. So one of two things, in my mind, is it possible? One, you're covering it up. Or two, nothing really happened and you exploited the hope of thousands of children to get your man elected. So which one do you want here? Then you going on to take aim at Trump more broadly, accusing the president of failing to fulfill the campaign promises that he and many others voted on.
What's good, Freebo? What's up? I'm just listening to this crazy Epstein thing. It's crazy. I can't help myself. You got here before the start of the stream first. That's crazy. Did not expect that. Podcast, yeah. This guy that I like to listen to, Philip DeFranco. He's pretty fine. He's pretty fine.
And again, all that matters, these are guys with huge shows. I mean, Joe Rogan has the biggest podcast in the world. The bulk of the criticism, and I think the most eye-opening, that has actually come from pretty hardcore MAGA Republicans. Both online and this weekend at the Student Action Summit Conference hosted by Charlie Kirk's right-wing group Turning Point USA, with the whole Epstein situation being a major focal point for many of Trump's most devout supporters. And during that summit, you saw things like audience members erupting into boos over the administration's handling of the case.
Oh, the start of stream verse is starting to come in. Free vote. Let's have them all. Let's introduce them all into the family. Let them all know that if they subscribe now, the angels will give them all the fairy dust. That's right. Jesse! What's up, babes? Oh, the start of the stream, boom! That's my favorite part of the whole stream. I actually got a fantastic fucking order right now. It's 7 miles, but $17. That's pretty damn good. It's gonna take me about 20 minutes to get to, but I do that all day. All day. That'd make things so much easier. Enzo, MH. What's up, peoples? Oh, shucks, Free. Freebo, you said your name. Man, I'm really bad with this. Justin? I feel like it was that. Forgive me. I'm bad. I'm really bad with names. I only remember Freebo because it's right there. Yeah, I've just gotta be doing shit all tonight. I got a big buddy.
Political problems, and I hope that they'll address it and it'll get better. I really do. What about this after we spent years telling you to fixate on? But
correct.
As it turns out,
nice.
they're a little more flexible on a number of things. They have not been willing to just let this go. You know, since we talked about this last week, the whole thing, it's just gone completely off the rails, and it's a full MAGA revolt. Because we've seen the MAGA base engaging in this civil war against each other. We've also seen key voices that helped get Donald Trump elected turning on him. You've got guys like Andrew Schultz, who had Trump on his podcast before the election, uploading an episode of his flagrant podcast, literally titled "Why Trump is Covering for Epstein and How Diddy Got Off." Schultz absolutely
crazy that Diddy got off too. Holy shit!
Last week where
I thought he might
that people were still talking about Epstein.
I thought he might get a little bit more than he did. He
That
did
is,
not.
like, in all
He did
seriousness,
not,
that is, I think, what is enraging people right now is it's
It was
insulting
crazy.
our intelligence. Like, obviously the
He was
intelligence
on
community
camera
is trying to
beating
cover it
somebody,
up.
Diddy was.
Obviously the Trump administration is trying to cover up. Something changed because they ran on this idea of exposing it all. All these guys had great ideas. Cockeyed Cash, Dan Bongino.
He had bars.
He was ready to tear it all down. He was ready to tear down the entire FBI office.
Shut down the Hoover building day one.
Day one.
That bitch still standing.
And then he goes on Joe Rogan and he's like, listen, do you think if I had it, I wouldn't share it with you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I do believe that 100%.
You know what just him on the podcast saying?
Now saying nothing happened. So
that's the first time somebody said no.
Is it possible? One,
Nice.
you're covering it up. Or two, nothing really happened and you exploited the hope of thousands of children to get your man elected. So which one do you want here?
Then you Schultz going on to take aim at Trump more broadly, accusing the president of failing to fulfill the campaign promises that he and many others voted on.
I believe when Trump, everything he campaigned on, I believe he wanted to do. And now he's doing the exact opposite thing of every single...
No.
He's doing the exact opposite of everything I voted for.
Yeah.
I wanted
Dude,
to stop the
yeah.
wars. He's funding
I
them.
be
I
for
wanted
real.
to shrink
And
spending.
And R. Kelly's a douchebag too, but yeah.
Everything that he said he's going to do.
Yeah, for real.
Except sending immigrants back. And now he's even
There's not been
that's just one example.
more true
It's not like
statement than
Schultz is
that.
die-hard MAGA. He does represent an important base, people that were swayed in this most recent election to go to Trump's side. I mean, on that note, I mean, we even had Joe Rogan chiming in, kind of making fun of Trump. And again, while that matters, these are guys with huge shows. I mean, Joe Rogan has the biggest podcast in the world. The bulk of the criticism, and I think the most eye-opening, that is actually
Probably just gonna be me and you for a little bit, Justin. This is how it goes. But I appreciate you coming back. You are the first return. I have to make $100 today. Gotta make $100 today to pay the bills. So 17 is a pretty good day to start. Oh, Enzo, baseball. Hey, come and join us.
Many speakers even slamming Trump administration's handling of the case.
I can't believe MAGA's turning on Trump like they are.
The most viral moments from the conference, it was this clip of her
Still got a lot of support for
Can we
him, but
pan to the audience? I'm curious. How many of you raise your hand and think this is a
this
big deal?
Epstein thing is,
You raise your hand.
it really got him
I mean, every hand,
riled up.
Every hand has gone up.
And that, as you had moments like Tucker Carlson bringing it up repeatedly in a lengthy speech that
I
he
couldn't
gave,
believe
as well as throughout
Tucker
various
brought
other
it up.
interviews and conversations throughout the event.
And I think that's really at the heart of why the Epstein thing is so distressing. I mean, the guy was some weird sex freak who was abusing girls. We knew that. But the fact that the U.S. government, the one that I voted
guy,
for,
too.
refused to take my question seriously and instead said, case closed, shut up, conspiracy theorist, was too much for me. And I don't think the rest of us should be satisfied with that. What is it about Jeffrey Epstein that's so infuriating to people, so infuriating that it's actually causing seismic political problems? And I hope that they'll address it and it'll get better. I really do. But what is it? I'll tell you what it is. It's the frustration of normal people watching a certain class of people get away with everything every single time. That's what it is.
And that last point is one that we've seen many others making, this idea that so many people in MAGA, they view the Epstein case as central to exposing the deep state. But I mean, as you had one expert explaining, the Epstein narrative is a key element of MAGA's criticism of the, quote, ruling class, and has basically become a linchpin conspiracy that forms the basis of so many other MAGA beliefs about the deep state.
Oh, yeah.
By pulling that one foundation thing of these, Trump's essentially threatened.
That is a George Carlin statement that I can stand behind, yeah. There's the cool kids club and we're not invited. Never have been. Well, some bullshit. And some bullshit. Just because you have money. Man. It's crazy what money can fucking do. It can make people do pretty much anything. Make me do this. I'd rather be home right now playing some... You know what? I've been playing Metal Gear Solid with my daughter. Yeah, Carlin is great. I mean, you really don't get much better than him. You can't. Really, you can't. Shit, yeah, like Richard Pryor, great. Not as good as Carlin. Robert Williams, great. Not as good as Carlin. He's so fucking real, man. He helped establish a lot of my views when it comes to the oppression that the lower class gets and how these fucking big wigs up here just get to do whatever they want. Vacation every day. Fucking good listening to this again.
A whole tower of beliefs that he also spent years stoking to get him. It isn't just about Epstein. By gaslighting his base about the whole situation, Trump is functionally undermining their entire beliefs. Some supporters even accuse the president of becoming nice to see you. Despite the fact that they voted for him because he vowed to fight the deep state. That, including by releasing key parts of the Epstein. Now you've got some of the biggest voices within the base saying this is enough to cause an existential crisis that could cost Republicans future elections. I mean, you had Steve Bannon, another huge Trump ally.
I just gotta make $100, you know.
The Turning Point USA event. But even explicitly saying at one point that this situation is deeper than Epstein and that.
Running the street,
Just a pedophile ring and all
doing
that.
our
What's
thing.
about who government threatens us,
Listen to
right?
stuff about
That's why it's not going to go away. For this
I didn't
to go
mean for any of that
away,
to rhyme, by the way.
you're going to lose 10%
Just-
of the MAGA movement. If we lose 10% of the MAGA
Just
movement
this
right
$17
now,
order
we
that I
think we're
haven't
gonna lose
completed.
40 seats in 26.
I just started. I wanted to start at like 5 my time, but I had to get a little bit of rest. And normally around here, 5 o'clock is fucking hectic, and I don't want to deal with it. But then I got a Dewey's pizza order, and it was like, go 8 miles for $17, and I was like, oh, say less, as the kids say.
President, you don't even have to steal it.
Right, he's not alone. You also had Megyn Kelly saying the same thing in a conversation with Kirk.
This could actually cost Trump in the midterms. We need to make a smart choice right now. We can't lose any of the MAGA base.
And notably with that, you had her and many others repeatedly slamming Attorney General Bundy throughout the event. As far as Kirk himself, he's now saying,
honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine.
and actually regarding Kirk's friends and the government, the whole situation, it appears to be causing major rifts within the Trump administration itself. Right? Because we had several outlets reporting over the weekend that Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino is actually
That's something fun to say.
the
Bongino.
files. One source even telling NBC, Bongino is out of control, furious. This destroyed his career. He's threatening to quit Torch Pam unless she's fired. So very notably there, you had Trump pushing back on that. When he was asked by reporters yesterday if Bongino was still serving in his administration, the president responded, I think so, claiming he had spoken to him that day, and adding, no, I think he's in good shape. But Trump also then making a very long and rambling post on Truth Social where he defended Bondi and rebuked his own base, writing, what's going on with my boys and in some cases gals? They're all going after Attorney General Bondi, who was doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration.
What's wrong with my boys?
Selfish people that are trying to hurt us.
Sometimes
All
my
of our
gals.
lives never dies. Jeffrey Epstein. And then, wildly going on a claim that the Epstein files were actually written by many of his various perceived political opponents, including President Obama, Hillary Clinton, and, quote, the losers and criminals of the Biden administration. And adding, so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Trump then claiming that if there was actually anything that would implicate him in the Epstein files, Democrats would have already released them. And then Trump went on to make false claims about the 2020 election being stolen, arguing that the DOJ needs to be spending its resources investigating that matter instead of looking into the Epstein files, and then instructing his supporters to, quote, not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. The post that actually resulted in Trump getting ratioed on his own social media platform. Many of the responses being, what are you talking about? Why are you gaslighting us? We care about this. Many also questioning how Trump's team can say there is no Epstein list, but then also at the same time, that thing that doesn't exist was written by Hillary Clinton, Obama, and Biden's people. And overall, it just really seemed to inflame his base even more. It really seemed to split his base among those who see Trump as an infallible God king, there's always an explanation, and others who just genuinely took him at his word, that they saw him as this tool to right wrongs. Now, many feel deceived, and especially hurt, because it is a situation that involves minors getting hurt. And then on top of that, we're also now seeing some Democrats trying to capitalize on the situation. For example, Democratic leaders in the House launching an effort to force the chamber to vote on releasing the files. So one, that's generally seen as a long shot, but also two, is given many Democrats a talking point going into the midterms. So, for example, Senator Ossoff of Georgia hitting
Gonna have to get gas after this.
Trump promised to end the wars.
Gotta get gas.
He promised to release
Other than the gas I got right now. Yeah, good thing you're not in here smelling that.
Did anyone really think the sexual predator president who used to party with Jeffrey Epstein was going to release the Epstein files?
For now, we'll have to wait to see if this continues to grow, how the administration continues to handle or fumble the situation. In the meantime, I'd really love to know your thoughts in those comments down below. But then next up in the news, we should talk about how Obama's advice for Democrats over the weekend is essentially just stop crying like babies and do your damn jobs. I'm saying, quote, I think it's going to require a little bit less navel gazing and a little less whining and being in fetal positions, and it's going to require Democrats to just toughen up. Right? Those remarks were apparently delivered at a private fundraising event in New Jersey on Friday. Friday with CNN then obtaining excerpts of the speech and multiple outlets now verifying what he said. With him really trying to push those who are currently in office to level things up in their efforts to fight Donald Trump and adding, you know, don't tell me you're a Democrat, but you're kind of disappointed right now, so you're not doing anything. Saying, no, now is exactly the time that you get in there and do something. Don't say that you care deeply about free speech and then you're quiet. So you stand up for free speech when it's hard. What's needed now is courage. But I'm also going on to tell the party to focus on what's going on right now. Right, and that is, there's been a ton of reporting on Democrats trying to line themselves up for runs in 2028. Tons of people focusing on that. Wondering out of their hat at this point. There, you have Obama cautioning, saying, stop looking for the quick fix. Stop looking for the messiah. You have great candidates running races right now. Support those candidates. And then, reportedly, specifically pointing to governor races in the states of New Jersey and Virginia. And all of this is not the only one that's been giving blunt messages to the party right now. Where you also had an interview that Mark Cuban did with the Pod Save America guys yesterday, getting a ton of traction.
We picked the wrong pressure points. It's just Trump sucks. That's the underlying, thought of everything the Democrats do. Trump sucks. That's not the way to win. It's just not.
Cuban also noting that it's about social strategies and Democrats are just ages behind in that regard. With Mark even saying they should essentially try to copy Mr. Beast to some degree.
You got to do what Mr. Beast does. He reverse engineers the algorithms to know what's going to sell best and get the most engagement. Go talk to him, right? That's probably your best.
Mr. Beast?
Best person to educate you on all of this.
That guy.
But in a world where
he's a mess himself, man. Fuck that guy.
One zone, you have to say things that are going to be fed to each individual person in a way that may connect to them.
Right, and that's something that Cuban argued that
Cuban,
good at.
Yeah,
he's kind of like a salesperson for himself.
Whatever,
he just plugs his zone and is making sure he's constantly heard.
Doesn't matter if it's true or not. You say it enough times, people will believe it. Get in places where it's going to get coverage enough so that, it fills, in this day and age, fills those algorithms. And so you would always see Trump in your algorithm.
And of course, all of this is happening as midterms are just around the corner. And so you have many wondering, can Democrats right the ship? Because yes, while there is backlash,
they cannot. They're incompetent. Democrats are fucking incompetent. God damn it.
Stuff, this feels so off. You can't just rely on bad polling for Trump. Because here's the thing, and we've talked about this, Democrats are incredibly unpopular right now. They have an approval rating of just 27% in Congress. You know what though? We wait to see.
Everybody up there just spends money on their clothes and fucking cake.
What's the message?
They don't care about us down here. We don't like any of them. We don't like them. Okay?
Seems kind of fucking insane. Then I've got even more news for you in just a second. But first, let me say, I'm only alone here because at this point, the feed is basically just one long fever dream of wellness. One reel says drink olive oil like it's pre-workout. The next says bathe in red light like a rotisserie chicken. Somehow cottage cheese is like a full-blown lifestyle now. I mean, I like it with pineapple, but I don't know. And honestly, it's time that we stop
pineapple and cottage cheese
and start talking to actual doctors. Personally, they use ZocDoc, today's sponsor, and they're the easiest way to find real in-network healthcare professionals. Because let's face it, red lights and cottage cheese, they have their place, but health devices.
What if I would be able to get sponsored?
Free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to book an appointment. ZocDoc has over 100,000 doctors across every specialty: health, dental, primary care, and dermatology. They filter by location, availability, and patient review, so you're not showing up to someone's office blindly and just hoping for the best. Most appointments, they happen within 24 to 72 hours, even some are even the same day. It is stupid easy, and it makes every other healthcare site feel like a fax machine. So stop putting off that checkup, that weird phone, or history. Right? Go to ZocDoc.com/Bill or scan that QR code to find it.
It's like they live very big. It's stupid.
ZocDoc.com/Bill.
Makes me so angry.
ZocDoc.com/Bill. Then, next up today, entertainment and business news. Superman killed Benjamin Netanyahu. That is part of the discourse you see playing out right now about the new release of
I want to watch it.
Superman. Where I'll start is with the box office report. Because globally, the movie brought in $217 million, and actually $122 million came from the domestic box office. Sales that made it the third biggest opening weekend of the year, and it marks a strong comeback for DC after a series of letdowns. Notably, this movie saw success despite the conservative backlash we saw that was facing it right before the release.
Ever since Dark Knight, DC's been kind of floundering.
That caused Fox News hosts just head to fucking explode. I'm guessing because they didn't understand that Superman wasn't born in the U.S. and in fact hailed from a different planet. Understandably, is this backlash going to impact?
But we'll never ever fucking get to a point where unless we all fucking stand up and it's not gonna happen.
Pulling that out of their ass, the advanced ticket sale tracking, it showed that the and in fact, it appears that if politics did hold the film back, those issues other parts of the globe. Or with analyst David A. Gross arguing in his newsletter, this is an outstanding domestic opening. If there's any softness here, it's overseas. And saying Superman has always been identified as a quintessentially American character in the story.
Yeah, he is Mr. America in DC.
Currently not enjoying its greatest popularity. But also noting that the film hasn't opened in all markets
I've
yet.
been up here. This is a nice area, man. I love this area.
We could see an uptick. So ultimately, we're gonna have to wait to see in the weeks and months to come where the box office ends, especially as you have people in the industry and a lot of comic fans comparing this to the Snyder Superman release back in 2013, which technically had a lower opening.
It's fine. It's fine.
Even with that,
a little too dark for my liking, but it's fine.
So that debate is going to play out. You also had Warner Bros. Execs celebrating the box office success, and James Gunn also writing. I'm incredibly grateful for your enthusiasm and kind words over the past few days. We've had a lot of Superman over the years, and I'm happy to have made a movie that focuses on the man part of the equation, the kind person, always looking out for those in need. That resonates so powerfully with so many people across the world is in itself a hopeful testament to the kindness and quality of human beings. So
Gun Shucks, what a guy.
Debated in the public. Because one of the things they're saying is that many about the central conflict of the film, they think that it
he might be a little childish sometimes. We all need a
viral
little bit of fucking
calling it, quote, about as far
non-seriousness in us, man.
Very
Everybody takes herself so goddamn serious all the time.
You're saying, quote, while there are events in the film that can be read as parallels to Israel's occupation of Palestine, the movie's geopolitical allusions aren't quite so specific. Noting that James Gunn has denied ties to the situation, saying he wrote it when the Middle Eastern conflict wasn't happening, and adding it really is fiction.
Yeah, I know.
Also have tons of people.
I'll probably like it.
Israel's actions, celebrating.
I can't wait to watch it because
you've seen the movie. I definitely would love to know your thoughts.
Green Lantern's in it.
Conversation and debate.
So,
as far as Superman's release
and it's Nathan Fillion.
Success of this movie is just overall.
That guy's a fucking. He's a goat.
He's
He's awesome. So I mean, I'm not a huge Superman fan, but I think this one, out of all the Superman movies that have been out in my lifetime, I'm most excited about this one. Not just for Green Lantern, but just the whole cast. So I'm pretty excited about it.
By the way, like I know this is like the first big movie. Feature Commandos on HBO Max, I think, was the first official launch of the series. Really good. So now, especially after the release of this movie and kind of the world building taking place, I'm excited to see Supergirl, Clayface, and stuff like that. So also, you know, there in addition to the controversy,
It's going up.
Then next up today, we need to talk about icing engines. Because ice, they say
dude.
the conditions are fine, detainees,
Alligator
they say
Alcatraz
they're
is
starving,
supposed to be
and lawmakers
fucking-
say they're being stonewalled. Like, as far as we know, that severe lack of food, that's what detainees are being
Dude,
held in ice detention centers.
I've been put in a
claiming
holding cell,
7 states.
and
Then immigration advocates saying that a lot of this could be
I had to eat food there. It was terrible. I can only imagine.
Congress has given ice.
I can only imagine what kind of shit they have to go through in Alcatraz. Oh yeah, $13 tip. $17. Mickey Hollis. That's where it's at, man. Yeah, this area is a really good area. And if they live here, they're well off. So them being nice in that way, awesome. Doors open. Okay. Yeah, it does look pretty good, huh? And again, I don't give a fuck. I'll say what I don't like if I watch it and I don't like it. But I don't bash stuff just for the fucking sake to make myself feel better or look cool. I don't know why people do it. I mean, I know when I was younger, when I would like poo stuff, it was try to be like, oh yeah, I'm so much better, I'm cooler than that. Fuck that, dude. I learned real quick. When other people do that shit to me, I don't like it. So don't like what you don't like, that's fine. You don't have to be a fucking dickhead about it. You know? Look at this guy. Look at this guy. People are weird now. I just want people to be happy with what they like. It's really, that's it just makes everything easier and simpler for everybody. A little bit of diversity, you know, is good, but man, everything is so goddamn negative nowadays. All right, to go back to Philip, see what he's got to say about the next topic.
41,500 people, but as of last week, it had over 57,000. And that is another factor, according to a former ICE official who spoke with NBC News, is that it can be hard to plan how much food will be needed at any given time. And that because there can be huge fluctuations in how many people are at a facility, with people often coming in waves, unlike a normal jail where it's usually a trickle at any given time. And that difference, it makes it extremely difficult to stock the correct amount of food. And then, of course, making matters even worse is that a lot of these facilities are for profit, so they don't have an incentive to overstock on food just in case and lose money. However, there, I need to know that the problem isn't necessarily with a specific company, with advocates claiming that these problems can happen regardless of who's in charge. For example, a lawyer with the American Immigration Lawyers Association putting it this way, saying, quote, "We haven't seen any company-specific trends. It just goes to the overall detention system and how overcrowded the detention system is as a whole." And according to some of the people that are being held, there's not only a lack of food, but a severe quality problem. So, for example, some facilities allegedly give detainees meat that is so finely ground up that it's essentially liquid, and that, quote, "looks like little small pebbles, and that will be the ounces that they give you." Also, other immigration attorneys say they've received complaints about moldy food or food that's inedible and
moldy food.
The overcrowding is less food per person, according to one Russian who's been held in Louisiana for months.
we'll
Saying
take
the
it.
portions got smaller. I have to deal with hunger, so I'm getting used to the hunger, so I have lost weight. In all of this, it's counter to ICE's own food service standards. Right, ICE, they tell the companies that run its facilities that is supposed to be fed at least 3 meals a day. Two.
Order $5. We're gonna go ahead and decline that one.
And that is no more than 14 hours to pass between dinner and breakfast. That said, though, for their part, ICE has denied the allegations, with a spokesperson saying they're provided with proper meals, medical treatment, and have the opportunity to communicate with their families, claiming meals are certified by dietitians, ensuring the safety, security, and well-being of individuals in our custody is a top priority at ICE. But whatever the reality is, the reports of these conditions they led to lawmakers demanding access to the detention centers across the U.S. The most controversial visit probably being this weekend, when both national and state Democratic lawmakers demanded to inspect the Alligator Alcatraz facility, which, you know, they're usually allowed to do on a whim as it's part of their oversight powers per the Constitution. While there are some practical limitations, until recently it was understood that if a lawmaker showed up, they were given a tour. However, what people saw is that Democratic lawmakers were initially turned away from Alligator Alcatraz on Friday, and it wasn't until Saturday, after a huge number of them showed up, that they were finally let in. And then, even though they were eventually let in, the fact that they were initially blocked it caused outrage and led to lawmakers releasing a joint statement that said the DeSantis administration's refusal to let us in wasn't some bureaucratic misstep. It was a deliberate obstruction meant to hide what's really happening behind those gates, saying there is no statute that permits the governor to overrule the legislature's oversight authority. And also, as far as what the lawmakers had to say after they were finally check out the facility themselves, well, U.S. Representative Debbie Wasserman-Schultz described the facility like this, saying, quote, "There are really disturbing, vile conditions, and this place needs to be shut the hell down. This place is a stunt, and they're abusing human beings."
It used to be an airport, dude.
Packed into cages, 3 tiny toilets, a sink attached to it. They essentially drink. They get their drinking water.
That's where it comes from.
Where they poop. No privacy.
Generally speaking,
it sucks.
describe the conditions as pretty bad. However, Republicans were also on the tours, and they had a completely different take. For example, State Senator Jay Collins claimed there was no squalor and added that in general the place seemed to be functional and appropriate. It's not supposed to be a resort, but it still allegedly had things like waste and sanitation systems, with Collins adding. Would I want that toilet and sink combination at my bathroom at the house? Probably not, but this is a transitional holding facility. With all of that said, as far as, you know, is anything actually going to be done to alleviate the
you put a fucking
the short answer
sink
is yes,
combo
but it's also unclear
toilet in one of those politicians' house. See what the fuck they say.
Like Alligator Alcatraz, which is
man.
And ICE is getting a huge influx of $45 billion until September 2029, thanks to Trump's so-called big beautiful bill. And according to the American Immigration Council, that means that ICE could afford at least 116,000 beds every year. But also, if the Trump administration has its way, it still might not be enough. Then, next up in the news, Trump running out of lawyers to defend his administration in court. For nearly two-thirds of lawyers in the Justice Department's federal programs branch, whose job is representing the federal government in court, they have voluntarily left or announced plans to leave since Trump got elected in November. And that, according to a list compiled by former Justice Department lawyers that was reviewed by Reuters. You have Reuters saying that they were able to verify the departure of all but 4 names on that list using court records and LinkedIn accounts. You know, to be clear here, some turnover between presidential administrations, that's normal. But this, I know everything these days can feel crazy. This is crazy. Or something different appears to be happening. I mean, the people who have left reportedly include at least 10 of 23 supervisors, many of whom have already served across presidential administrations. And with that, well, some employees, they left over policy differences. Many had reportedly already served in the first Trump administration, and, they viewed their role as defending the government no matter what party was in power. But that apparently has become something harder and harder to believe in. With some reportedly saying they feared Trump's policies violated the Constitution or were put in place without following the processes that were more defensible in court. With, for example, one former employee saying many of those people came to work at federal programs to defend aspects of our constitutional system and asking how could they participate in the project of tearing it down. And then with that, you had some
anxiety medication
being pressured to misrepresent facts or legal issues or potentially violating attorney ethics rules. And to that point, a former supervisor in another branch of the DOJ filed a whistleblower complaint just last week, with him alleging there that he faced pressure from administration officials to make unsupported legal arguments and adopt faulty interpretations of rulings in pre-immigration cases. And key thing, that came out of the administration.
Not that bad. It's getting up there, but $5 a pack. So I gotta buy them in 2, though. Otherwise, they're like 7. But there are ones, Marlboro, Camels, Cools. They're all $10 if you only buy a single. But these blacks right here, other blacks, buy 2 for $5 a piece plus tax. So. I've been smoking a lot since I've been doing Doordash, but it's right here. It's the only thing that I can like. So sue me, okay? There we go. That's what I'm talking about. I'll take that order.
Across much of the court, the administration, they have hired dozens of lawyers involved in prosecuting corruption cases for January 6th. And then this week, with Attorney General Pam Bondi,
little Chick-fil-A action.
What's going on there is kind of the focus. She fired 20 employees
who
have at some point been involved in prosecuting Donald Trump, including
Kentucky's always been good with cigarette prices. People from Ohio used to come. People from Ohio used to come over to Kentucky and buy cartons just so they could, save on money. And that's when they were like $2 a pack, $3 a pack. In Ohio, they've never been, I think, under 4 from when I remember my dad smoked and I would have to go buy a cigarette sometimes. Isn't that crazy? Back in my day, I could just go with a note. Sometimes I didn't even need a fucking note. They knew my dad so well that I could just go down there and have the money and walk down there 5 minutes later, get a pack of cigarettes and take it to my dad's. This is crazy. Try that shit now. Wow, yeah, $7 is pretty rough just for the cheapest, man. Is there any deals that you get when you buy 2? Because I know that's always been kind of a thing. I used to smoke Lucky Stripes before this. They were like $4 a pack. It's not bad, but yeah, that's crazy. I knew and I would hear stories about Chicago and stuff and how expensive the cigarettes were there when I was like 18 and younger. So inflation, that's been a half of a lifetime. I'm 36 now, so I can only imagine how much they are in Chicago as well.
Separate case focused on Trump's handling of classified documents under Mar-a-Lago. Those new dismissals, they bring the total Smith-related firing to about 35. And actually, there you actually.
I would, if I had to. If I didn't get the deal, I would buy 2 bags.
Changes at the DOJ, they are big, they are widespread. Some of it on purpose, some of it not. But all of it matters greatly and is going to have an impact. Then next up from that important international news, we talk about Israel and Syria. Because dozens have now been killed in armed clashes with Bedouin tribes, Druze militias in southern Syria. Israel has carried out strikes in Islam. It also keeps the labor latest outbreak of deadly sectarian violence in the country since rebel forces overthrew Bashar al-Assad back in December, and there's also a lot in general that we need to talk about with the whole situation. But starting with this latest violence, it can reportedly be traced back to members of a Bedouin tribe setting up a checkpoint and attacking and robbing a young vegetable seller belonging to the Druze religious minority. With that, then leading to back and forth attacks and kidnappings between the two groups. And on Sunday, you saw the violence just reaching a new level. The fighting breaking out in the mostly Druze city of Sueda, but within a predominantly Bedouin neighborhood. Druze fighters reportedly encircling and seizing that part of the city. And then it spread into other parts of the province, with tribesmen reportedly launching attacks on Druze towns and villages to the north and west. And according to the UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, 2 towns got shelled and residents of another village were forced to flee after armed men came and set fire to several homes. And then in response to that, you had the Syrian Interior Ministry saying in a statement, "This dangerous escalation comes in light of the absence of relevant official institutions, leading to worsening chaos and collapse of the security situation and the local community's inability to contain the crisis despite repeated calls for calm." And so then with that, the ministry announced
You know what? I'm gonna listen to the fucking Carlin when I get back. You got me one too.
To end the conflict and impose order. But also the governor of the province calling on residents to exercise.
Just because I want to, I've listened to them a ton of times, but you know what? I can always refresh my memory, right?
Reporting that mediation between Bedouin and Druze leaders.
But you can come in with me. I'm gonna do this order, and then once I drop it off,
morning, you had that same outlet reporting that fighting had erupted.
fucking news is stressing me out, but I gotta keep myself informed, you know. But I'll take you in with me. We'll do this order, and then I have to take a small break. So I'll end the stream. I have to get gas. I have to pick up the girlfriend, and then I'll be back on. So I don't know if it will be like a half hour, but yeah, you know, let's go. And of course, Justin, if you ever are able to come to the stream, this guy appreciates it. Let's flip here so you can look at stuff. I don't go to this one much. I like cow stuff. Oh, let me get that for you.
Thank you.
You got it.
You guys can help, yeah.
No, is Rebecca Doordash ready?
Mobile order from you.
Order from here, you'll see it. Would confirm that for me, please.
You got it, my man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Take care. Oh, sorry. A little busy in there. It's a little harder to navigate when I'm filming. But this is what I do for the streets. I do it for the streets. Yeah. There's my dirty ass car. You like it? I exposed myself. I did. Okay. Why do I have aluminum foil in my car just by itself? Well, my fiance is a stylist. Why do I have a lot of stuff that is random as fuck in my car in my apartment that I never thought stylists would use? Because my fiance is a stylist. Alright. Alright, I'm gonna put some Carlin on like I said, because I want some Carlin. Yeah, that's a good one. Life worth losing. Oh, well, you can go. Okay, back in town's for free. I'll do that. Alright. No. This is gonna be close to my favorite gas station, so this will work out perfect. And this is $8. $8 for 3 miles. Pretty good. It's gonna end my A of this shift until I take my, if I take my break and whatnot, with $23. That's not terrible. I will take that any day.
Why is it that most of the people who are against abortion are people you wouldn't want to fuck in the first place? Boy, these conservatives are really something, aren't they? They're all in favor of the unborn. They will do anything for the unborn. But once you're born, you're on your own.
That's right, motherfucker. Once that head pops out of that vagina.
Pro-life conservatives are obsessed with the fetus from conception to 9 months. After that, they don't want to know about you. They don't want to hear from you. No nothing. No neonatal care, no daycare, no Head Start, no school lunch, no food stamps, no welfare, no nothing. If you're pre-born, you're fine. If you're preschool, you're fucked. Conservatives don't give a shit about you until you reach military age. Then they think you are just fine, just what they've been looking for.
What are you doing, buddy?
Conservatives want live babies so they can raise them to be dead soldiers.
Good fertilizer, my friends. We make good fertilizer.
Pro-life, they're killing doctors. What kind of pro-life is that? What, they'll do anything they can to save a fetus, but if it grows up to be a doctor, they just might have to kill it? They're not pro-life. You know what they are? They're anti-woman. Simple as it gets. Anti-woman. They don't like them. They don't like women. They believe a woman's primary role is to function as a broodmare for the state.
That's right, baby.
Pro-life. You don't see many of these white anti-abortion women volunteering to have any black fetuses transplanted into their uteruses, do you? No, you don't see them adopting a whole lot of crack babies, do you? No, that might be something Christ would do. And you won't see a lot of these pro-life people dousing themselves in kerosene and lighting themselves on fire.
Oh no, their life's too precious.
Religious people in South Vietnam knew how to stage a goddamn demonstration, didn't they?
That's one way to put it.
They knew how to put on a fucking protest. Light yourself on fire! Come on, you moral crusaders, let's see a little smoke to match that fire in your belly. Here's another question I have. How come when it's us, it's an abortion, and when it's a chicken, it's an omelet? became chickens all of a sudden? When did this happen, that we passed chickens in goodness? Name 6 ways we're better than chickens. See, nobody can do it. You know why? Because chickens are decent people. You don't see chickens hanging around in drug gangs, do you? You don't see a chicken strapping some guy to a chair and hooking up his nuts to a car battery, do you? When's the last chicken you heard about came home from work and beat the shit out of his hand?
Yeah, roosters are pretty brutal, so, you know.
Chickens are decent people. So let's get back to this abortion shit. Now, is a fetus a human being? This seems to be the central question. Well, if a fetus is a human being, how come the census doesn't count them? If a fetus is a human being, how come when there's a miscarriage, they don't have a funeral? If a fetus is a human being, how come people say we have 2 children and 1 on the way, instead of saying we have 3 children? People say life begins at conception. I say life began about 1 billion years ago, and it's a continuous process. Continuous, just keeps rolling along. Rolling.
Fair point.
Say, you know something? Listen, you can go back further than that. What about the carbon atoms? Huh? Human life could not exist without carbon. So is it just possible that maybe we shouldn't be burning all this coal? Just looking for a little consistency here in these anti-abortion arguments. See, the really hardcore people will tell you life begins at fertilization. Fertilization when the sperm fertilizes the egg, which is usually a few moments after the man says, gee, honey, I was going to pull out, but the phone rang and it startled me.
That's how life is made, guys. Yeah. I fucking forget it.
But even after the egg is fertilized, it's still 6 or 7 days before it reaches the uterus and pregnancy begins. And not every egg makes it that far. 80% of a woman's fertilized eggs are rinsed and flushed out of her body once a month during those delightful few days she has.
Okay, so yeah, that can possibly get
They
rinsed
wind up
out
on sanitary napkins,
Oh, I didn't really
yet
think
they
about that,
are
right?
fertilized eggs. So basically what these anti-abortion people are telling us is that any woman who's had more than 1 period is a serial killer. Consistency. Hey, if they really want to get serious, what about all the sperm that are wasted when the state executes a condemned man and one of these pro-life guys who's watching comes in his pants, huh? Here's a guy standing over there with his jockey shorts full of little Vinnies and Debbies, and nobody's saying a word to the guy. Not every ejaculation deserves a name. Speaking of consistency, Catholics, which I was until I reached the age of reason, Catholics and other Christians are against abortions and they're against homosexuals. Well, who has less abortions than homosexuals? Leave these fucking people alone, for Christ's sakes. Here is an entire class of people guaranteed never to have an abortion. And the Catholics and Christians are just tossing them aside. You'd think they'd make natural allies. Go look for consistency in religion. And speaking of my friends, the Catholics, when John Cardinal O'Connor of New York and some of these other cardinals and bishops have experienced their first pregnancies and their first labor pains and they've raised a couple of children on minimum wage, then I'll be glad to hear what they have to say about abortion.
Yeah. That is it, right there, motherfucker. That's what you need. You need experience to be able to talk to me about my experience, asshole.
In the meantime, what they ought to be doing is telling these priests who took a vow of chastity to keep their hands off the altar boys. When Jesus said, suffer the little children come unto me, that's not what he was talking about. So you know what I tell these anti-abortion people? I say, hey, if you think a fetus is more important than a woman, try getting a fetus to wash the shit stains out of your underwear. For no pay and no pension. I tell them, think of an abortion as term limits. That's all it is. Biological term limits. You know, the longer you listen to this abortion debate, the more you hear this phrase, sanctity of life. You've heard that, sanctity of life. You believe in it? Personally, I think it's a bunch of shit. Well, I mean, life is sacred? Who said so? God? Hey, if you read history, you realize that God is one of the leading causes of death.
He liked to kill people.
Has been for thousands of years. Hindus, Muslims, Jews, Christians, all taking turns killing each other because God told them it was a good idea. The sword of God, the blood of the Lamb, vengeance is mine. Millions of dead motherfuckers.
I'll be ending the stream after this, and then I'll get back on. Yes. Alright guys, thanks for everybody that joined.